You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the San Francisco Giants take down the San Diego Padres at Petco Park. Final score 6-3. And my guy, rookie Grant McCray, delivers big time for the Giants at the dish as he launched not one, but two home runs and drove in all six of the Giants' runs today. I am so excited about what this guy can provide for the Giants next season. And I think that, I don't know why this is a topic of debate, but I think everybody should be excited about this guy. Don't get what there is to not like about Grant McCray. And Logan Webb got the start in this one and battled through a very rough first inning to keep the San Francisco Giants in striking distance. In the bullpen, we got to talk about the bullpen. They tossed 3 shutdown innings to secure the win, and Camilo Doval looked great. The roller coaster ride with him continues, the highs and lows all season long. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you making us your first listen following Giants games. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage for your second listen on all your Giants info. Ben Kaspick does a great job. And this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play just $5. And in this one today, the Padres jumped on Logan Webb early. And this one looks like, I know Webby really has his issues. We all know if you're going to get to Webb, you're going to get to him in that first or second inning. And sometimes it can get away from him early on. This one, he gives up a single and then a walk to start this game, loads the bases with nobody out, and with Manny Machado, who's one of the hottest hitters on the planet, stepping into the box, and he gives up a single to Machado, run scores, 1-0 Padres lead. And I am going to credit Webby here a little bit for navigating through this part of the order without giving up that huge extra base hit, that backbreaker that this Padres middle of the order is really good at delivering to teams, especially lately, and especially this guy, Manny Machado. So for Webb to be able to hold Machado to just a single in this at bat, it's not a win, but it's damage mitigation, and that is a good thing for the Giants. And this one turned this inning completely around for Webb, because if Machado has an extra base here in this spot, this inning could have gotten away from him. This game could have got away from the Giants, and who knows how long Webb would have lasted if he started giving up multiple runs in that first inning. After that Machado single that put the Padres on the board 1-0, Webb gets a huge double play from the next batter, Xander Bogaerts, but run still scores on the double play. So the Giants down 2-0, and then gets a fly out to get out of that inning. And again, yes, he did give up those 2 runs in that first, but it could have been way worse. Down 2-0, you're still within striking distance. So Logan Webb really did a good job of limiting the heart of this Padres order. And wouldn't you know it, in the top of the second, after a Pat Bailey single and Brett Wisely singles with 2 outs to keep the inning going and allow Grant McCray to come up with some runners on base, some ducks on the pond ahead of him. And this guy smashes a 417-foot bomb over the right field wall, 106.6 miles an hour, a hanging slider from Cease that he obliterated. And with 2 outs, this was a great piece of situational hitting where the Giants have runners in scoring position. And hey, if you're only going to get 2 hits with runners in scoring position all day long, might as well hit them over the fence. So McCray, in his first opportunity with runners in scoring position today, comes up with a massive 3-run bomb, and just like that, the Giants snatched the lead right back from the Padres. Then in the cruising along, Webb settled in. He was getting double plays in the bottom of the third. He gets another ground ball into a double play inducing situation. His second of the day, he was able to get a third one in the bottom of the sixth before he exited this game. And by then, the Giants tacked on some even more runs in the top of the fourth after a walk and a single, and then a walk loads the bases for the Giants with nobody out. Up comes Grant McCray again. And we're not going to, applaud him for this at bat per se, because he hits into a ground ball double play, but a run scores, gives the Giants a 4-2 lead. And that was huge at this point in the game because the Giants have been playing so many one-run games lately, and every single game feels like it's taxing. Every single pitch when the games are this close feels like it just weighs 1,000 pounds on whoever's throwing it. And Logan Webb has had a lot of stressful innings this year. We don't need Logan Webb to have any more stress in his life. This extra run of run support for Webby made a huge difference in his demeanor out there on the mound and just how comfortable this game felt, because it felt real uncomfy up until that point. And even then it was still, a pretty hard to breathe situation. The air felt pretty tight in this one, but McCray grounds into a double play. Again, not the best at bat, but it's a situation where you can't have a pop out in the infield or in foul ground, which the Giants seem to just do all the time in these situations. And you cannot have a strikeout, which really, let's be honest, is been the number one Achilles heel for the Giants in these situations all season long. They just strike out like nobody's business when they get runners in scoring position. Credit Grant McCray, put the ball in play and good things happen. The Giants score a run, 4-2 lead there after that top of the fourth run scores for the Giants. Then in bottom of 5, Wade gets a leadoff double off of Webb, and then Luis Arraez, who's just a machine up there, just slapping singles all over the place. This guy's going to win his 3rd consecutive batting title this year, most likely, and that's very impressive. I think only a handful of other guys have even sniffed 3 consecutive batting titles in MLB history. So Luis Arraez quietly kind of having a really nice year down there in San Diego and proven to the world that guys who hit for batting average still matter. It's still definitely have a place in today's game. I don't know why in the hell you wouldn't want a guy who hits over 300 and gets on base as often as he does in the middle of your lineup when you got to have a hit and keep the line moving. This is the perfect guy to do it. Comes up with an RBI knock here. I really like Luis Arraez. Have for a long time. I remember that first year that he kind of burst onto the scenes. I picked him up off the waiver wires in my fantasy baseball league. Led me to not quite a championship, but 2nd place in my league that year. So Arraez was a big part of that. And Arraez has just been a big part of the Padres' success as a whole since he got there. A great acquisition by the Padres to go and pick him up. Then in the 6th, as I said, Webb got another ground ball into a double play. And after that 6th inning, Webb was done. And after that rocky start, he really settled in. He ended up throwing 6 innings, only gave up 3 earned runs, only 2 walks. He only had 3 strikeouts, so not a big strikeout night for Webby, but we know Webb, and he's not a strikeout guy. 8 groundouts, which is what he is. He's a ground out guy, and he got 3 flyouts as well. 84 pitches, 56 of them for strikes. Logan Webb, really good day on the mound overall. The one area that you could point to as not so great is he gave up double-digit hits. He gave up 10 hits today, but Webb scattered them, and he did such a good job of pitching through these high-stress innings and mitigating damage. As I said, that top of the 1st inning really mitigated damage there and continued to do so for the rest of this game. I think Webb, he had a ton of runners on base throughout the majority of this one. Almost every single inning that he pitched, he had at least one runner on. I think the bottom of the 2nd was the only inning where Webb did not have a runner on base, where he didn't have to throw out of the stretch. So it was a good day for Webb to bounce back from that and really grind through these at-bats. This wasn't like Logan Webb's best day on the mound by any means, but it showed you the grittiness that he has, the way that he can win games without having his best stuff on the mound, even in September when this guy has pitched so many 7+ inning games, is creeping up on 200 innings again. It doesn't matter. Logan Webb still going out there, rolling through dudes and going through all these tough innings and still carrying the Giants to a win, giving them the opportunity and putting them in a position to come back and win this game after that early deficit. And they pull it off. 6-3 win for the Giants over the Padres. And we got to talk about the bullpen and everything they did as well. After Webb exited this game, the bullpen, which has been so good lately, comes in for 3 innings and absolutely dominates the Padres. They faced the heart of the order in some crucial situations, and Camilo Doval looked great. The only hit that the bullpen surrendered came in the 9th inning to lead it off, that Tatis double, but he never advanced past second base. Ryan Walker shut it down after that. But Camilo Doval, that 8th inning, man, he looked like the old Camilo Doval. And I mean, this roller coaster ride with him has been up and down all year long. 1 minute he's looking like the old Camilo. The next he can't get the ball over the plate for a strike and looks like a total head case. But today gets another hold, his second of the season. And he fanned 2 guys in that 1 inning. He only faced 3 batters. First batter of that inning was Manny Machado, struck him out on 4 pitches, and then ended that inning with a 4-pitch strikeout as well. And Tyler Rogers, we got to mention him as well. Another shutdown inning for Rogers. He's tied for the league lead in most appearances by a reliever. I feel like he's been at the top of that list for essentially the entire season. Tyler Rogers has been so good for the Giants, and for some reason catches a bunch of flack from the fans, and it just baffles me every single time that this guy's up there, why people don't like him. I mean, I know he's not up there throwing 100 miles an hour, but look what Camilo Doval did this year, and he was throwing 100+ miles an hour in every single one of these appearances. Yet his ERA is up around 4.62. I know he's not everyone's favorite guy right now, but Tyler Rogers has a sub-3 ERA in 29 holds this year. That's awesome. This guy has been very good for the Giants in these clutch situations, and he's done a little bit of everything that they've asked him to do. I think Tyler Rogers has been excellent for the Giants coming out of the bullpen. I don't know really how you dispute that, but for some reason, the lunatic fringe of this fan base will find some way to nitpick the guy, even though he's been so solid for the Giants all season long out of that bullpen and being that 7th or 8th inning guy. And, now that you got Camilo Doval kind of working back into the fold too, when you have a guy that can go at least 6 innings, it makes the back end of this bullpen really, really, really tough when they're fresh. I mean, having to face essentially 3 different guys that could close in this league, Tyler Rogers, Camilo Doval, and Ryan Walker to shut it down. That's hard on any lineup, including the San Diego Padres, who have a really, really good lineup. Doesn't matter. Giants shut them down today. Ryan Walker picks up his 6th save of the season. Overall, the Giants pitching staff only had 5 strikeouts, but we got to credit the Giants offense because the San Diego Padres pitching staff only had 6 total strikeouts. We know how much the Giants have been striking out lately. It has been abysmal. So good job for the Giants not striking out especially in these situations with runners in scoring position. San Francisco struck out 10+ times in 14 of its last 23 games, including 11 times last night. And they've just been 2-12 in those games where they struck out 10+ times. If you don't strike out 10+ times, seems like you got a much better shot to win than if you do. And that's my expert analysis on that. The Giants don't strike out a bunch today. They put the ball in play, and look at what happened. Good things happened. Grant McCray scored that run, or drove that run in on that ground ball double play. Even though it was ground ball double play, scores a run. It's a good thing to do. And Grant McCray, by the way, wasn't done. As we said earlier in the show, if you're going to only have 2 hits with runners in scoring position all night long, you might as well whack them over the fence. And that's exactly what Grant McCray did in the top of the 9th when he came up again in another situation where after a Pat Bailey walk, Grant McCray blasts another 2-run bomb. His first multi-home run game as a pro. It was on the inside half of the plate, and he just annihilated that ball out to right center field. Again, another 415+ foot bomb for him. This one goes 425 feet, 104 miles an hour off the bat, and the 5th of the season for McCray, who's been up for about a month with the big league club. That's a really solid pace for a guy who is supposedly not a very good power hitter. I think 2 400+ foot bombs in the same game says he's got some power, man. I mean, I'm not expecting this guy to be a 40 home run kind of guy a year. I mean, he's not going to be able to keep that pace the whole season. But this guy's got a lot of power, a lot more than advertised. And for a guy who's, stole 50+ bases in the minor leagues last year. And I mean, I really like it for a guy who's got a great arm, just a howitzer, a cannon out there he's playing center field a lot, but he's probably going to end up playing right next season, which I am very excited about because when he's out there with Jung-Hoo Lee, that's a very solid outfield. And the way that they're both hitting, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Jung-Hoo Lee was obviously, been injured for the majority of the season, but he was hitting pretty well before he got injured. A lot of his, actual batting average stats and things like that didn't look as they didn't look super great. The numbers didn't. But if you look at the advanced metrics behind it, Jung-Hoo Lee was, making solid contact a lot of the time up at the plate. That ball was going to start finding holes and dropping. Those line drives were going to eventually start dropping for him. But defensively, those two guys, if that's your outfield next year, if that's 2/3 of your outfield, a lot of balls are going to get caught by those two dudes. Super fast. Both guys have great arms and great gloves. I am very excited about what this outfield is shaping up to look like next year. And even though that, we can't get too excited about the Giants' wins this year because they're still 70-73, fourth place in the National League West. And what are they, like 8.5, 9 games back out of the wild card? It doesn't really matter because they're not going to make the playoffs at all. And in talking about it's just a waste of time at this point. So I have completely shifted gears to looking towards next season and gleaning whatever we can from the end of this year to see what the Giants are going to look like next year. Hopefully they can bring back Blake Snell. They've already re-signed Matt Chapman. But a big part of the success that the Giants are going to have or not have next season will entirely depend on these rookies and who can take steps forward and who kind of plateaus and starts to, fade away after a nice rookie campaign. And a lot of these Giants look to be playing pretty well at the end of the year. Ramos has been pretty solid all season long. He's definitely had a better first half than second half, but he's been showing that he can hit that high fastball a little better than he was able to earlier in the season. Fitzgerald is also doing decent, but both of these guys need to stop striking out so much. Ramos didn't strike out today. Fitzgerald did again. And McCray also strikes out a lot. A lot of these rookies striking out a lot for the Giants. If they can shore up those strikeouts and just hit the ball in play, that will help this team out a lot going forward. Let's take a quick break here. And I want to talk more about Grant McCray, man. It was his day out at the yard today, and he had some interesting thoughts post-game, and I want to get into that a little bit more on the other side. This is the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Ibotta. It's summertime, which means it's barbecue season. Stock up on all your grilling favorites and earn cash on every purchase when you use Ibotta. So you won't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can get both. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or that fancy dinner you've been craving. And if you know one thing about me, Triple E, I love me a fancy dinner. So I'm all over this, man. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or directly into a gift card. Simply add the offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and so much more. It's time that you join the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, the Giants win 6-3 over the San Diego Padres, and Grant McCray accounts for all 6 runs. He only had 5 RBIs listed in the box score, which is, you hit into a ground ball double play and a run scores. You generally, you don't get the RBI for that. And I get why. You don't really want to reward guys for hitting into double plays. But I thought in this situation, man, this is what you need. This is exactly what you needed. It's a 1-run game. You got to get that run across however you can. Even if it's hitting into a ground ball double play, I personally don't care. As long as that run scores, that's the important situation. And for a team like the Giants that has struggled all year so mightily in just putting the ball in play in these situations and not just popping out to the first baseman or the pitcher or the third baseman or trying to lay down a bunt and fouling it back into the catcher's glove for a pop out. That's pretty bad too. We've seen the Giants do all of these things so many times with runners in scoring position in gotta have it moments, or they just straight up strike out. Grant McCray didn't do any of those things. He put the ball in play, and yeah, you want a better result than a ground ball double play, especially when you got a guy with speed like McCray. You'd hope that he'd be able to beat that out on the back end. He almost did. It was really close play, but he didn't strike out. That's the point, is this guy put the ball in play. He did what he had to do to get that run home. And that was a huge situation. And yeah, I know this guy hit 2 home runs, and we're talking about the ground into double play situation that he had today. But I'm kind of miffed that they didn't give him an RBI. I know that they're not gonna, but like, kind of miffed about it, man. Like, my guy deserves 6 RBIs today, not just 5. We got to get him all the ribbies. And I know that, me and Ben might differ on this. I know that Ben loves his stats, and a lot of people who are really into the stats these days for baseball tend to say RBIs don't matter. And I cannot disagree more, because you can't come up here and tell me that certain guys, like, that everybody's going to perform the same in a clutch situation. That's just not true. Certain guys have that thing, whatever it is, where when the situation's on, like when there's a clutch moment, they flip a switch and they turn it on. Shout out the entire 2010 Giants offense, and really the entire 2012 Giants offense too. None of those guys were particularly great hitters, but you can't tell me that Cody Ross didn't have that clutch gene somewhere in his system. It was ingrained in him as a ball player. And that's not something you can measure. That's not something that there's a number to attribute to it. It just is. And you have to go by feel and gut. And that's, the difference between the old regime with Bruce Bochy and what we got now with Farhan and this. I guess Bob Melvin is more a throwback to Bochy than Gabe Kapler was. But I mean, the amount of numbers and data that go into making some of these decisions, it goes over the top sometimes. And I even complained about this. I don't remember which game it was, but a couple weeks ago, Grant McCray was pinch hit for, I think they put in Casey Schmidt instead of Grant McCray. And I had a huge problem with that. Grant McCray isn't the best hitter on this Giants team. I have no illusions about that. I'm not saying that this guy's going to become a 275 plus hitter with, 30 to 40 bombs. Like, that's not going to happen. That's not who this guy is, but he is gonna run into a few. Like, this guy has the potential to be like a 15 to 20 home run a year guy with a ton of speed on the base pass. A ton of speed. He could be a 40 plus steal guy for you. And he's gonna cover a ton of that outfield. And Grant McCray actually just said today in postgame, he was asked about maybe playing that outfield next year with Jung-Hoo Lee, who is gonna come back from injury and I expect him to be one of the best center fielders in all of baseball. He already looked like that before he had that injury. And I think now that he's going to have a full, he's going to have some experience at Oracle Park under his belt, albeit minimal. He's going to have a whole offseason to train here where he's not going to have to be getting acclimated and being brought over. He's going to just be able to start. As soon as he's ready to come back from that injury, he can start doing stuff out there at Oracle Park, getting used to those dimensions. And Grant McCray, when he was asked about it, said, quote, "I've told a lot of people before, if me and Jung-Hoo are in the same outfield, it's going to be a bad day for everyone else coming to our ballpark." And man, oh man, does that make me excited, because I love me some good defense. It's essential to being a good baseball team. We went through this at some point way earlier in the season where I think like every single team that has won a World Series for like the last at least decade and a half has finished in the top 10 in defensive efficiency. And the Giants, just have not been very good defensively these last few years. They just haven't been. And even in things that don't show up in the box score, like Luciano's blunders that have happened in this last week, none of which really showed up in the box score. But there were a ton of them that affected the game and things like that. The Giants just are not a good defensive team. Grant McCray adds a huge element to this team that they are frankly missing in a lot of different ways. And I know that this guy, as I've said multiple times, is not going to be the guy to just like power your offense to all these wins and have these crazy, batting average, home run numbers. That's not who this guy's going to be. But what he is a guy who does all of the things that the Giants absolutely suck at doing collectively as a team. This guy runs. He's super fast, one of the fastest guys on this team, and not just fast, because the Giants have a few fast guys. Chapman's fast, Fitzgerald's fast, but these guys aren't really stealing bases. The Giants, one of the worst base stealing teams in all of baseball, in an era where, since the bases got bigger, everybody's running and the Giants are just getting left in the dust. Grant McCray catches you back up to the rest of Major League Baseball. This guy by himself can change the Giants' steal numbers to look at least average. And so you're not at least at the bottom of the pack. You know what else this guy does? He knows how to bunt. He knows how to lay down a bunt. He knows how to play some defense. He's got a great glove in the outfield. Tons of speed out there as well. Covered. That's not just speed on the base paths. It's speed everywhere, all over the field. And he's got a cannon. Now, I will say this guy needs to learn how to hit a cutoff man, because he's completely overthrown him like every single time. This guy just wants to throw all the way to the bag every time, and that's not always the best play, even if you have the arm to do it. So I need McCray to kind of have a little bit better discernment out there as to when to unleash the rifle that he's got, but I think that'll just come with time. I mean, guy's been up in the bigs for 1 month, so he had plenty of time for him to learn those situational things, but I really like this kid. I think that he is going to be a huge key to the Giants' success next year, mainly because of his defense. Like, yes, he does all these other little things really, really well, but an outfield that has Jung-Hoo Lee and Grant McCray, especially at Oracle Park, patrolling that massive right center field gap in Triples Alley, it's a huge advantage for the Giants, a massive, massive advantage for the Giants. A lot of room in that outfield to go run down fly balls, and two of the fastest guys in the big leagues out there patrolling that. And it's, you know, if you got Ramos out there in left field, it's not like that guy's a slouch. He's not slow by any means. So Ramos, I mean, just ends up being the worst outfielder by default. I think that's a really, really, really good defensive situation for the San Francisco Giants. The one thing that I need to see from McCray, other than that discernment that he needs to improve, is he needs to cut down on the strikeout numbers, and he needs to get better at drawing walks. He's been good at drawing walks in certain situations, but overall he's at a 4.7% walk rate. That is way too low, not high enough. That strikeout percent, 42.2%. That needs to come way down. We need to like double or triple that walk percentage and like cut that strikeout percentage like in half, because 42.2% is, I mean, he would, I mean, damn near lead the leagues in strikeouts if he continued that for a whole season. But you look at the average exit velocity, 93.1 miles an hour off the bat. That's, I mean, top tier in Major League Baseball. The barrel percentage, 14.7%. Also top tier. He doesn't qualify in any of these rankings because he hasn't played enough, but if he did, it would be. And I mean, the bat speed, 73.6 miles an hour. That's Matt Chapman-esque. I mean, this guy, the advanced metrics say he's got potential. He's just got to figure out how to stay in that strike zone a little bit more, not chase as much, have a little bit better batter's eye in that box, maybe do some work with Lamont Wade in the offseason and you know, take some tips from that guy who seems to have one of the best eyes in the league. I mean, that guy, I like watching his at-bats just because he's got, I mean, he'll spit on a pitch that's like 2 inches off the plate, like right out of the pitcher's hand. He just knows it. That's crazy. So hopefully he can impart some of that wisdom onto Grant McCray. And if he can shore up those two things, this guy will be an everyday player next year for the Giants and someone we can be excited about. That's what we're looking for at this point in the season, is things to be excited about for next year, because even with the 6-3 Giants win, as I said earlier, zero chance this team makes the playoffs. So let's take a quick break here on the other side, put a bow on this one, and also take a brief look at Logan Webb's day-to-day. Just one more time. Logan Webb, I mean, it was a gritty performance for him and had a ton of trouble in that first inning, had runners on the base paths all day long and navigated it like Magellan navigating the strait down in around the Cape of South America, coming around for the gold rush. I don't know, man. I'm Logan Webb steering through a danger like nobody's business today out there on the mound. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is also sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, It's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, the Giants win 6-3. Grant McCray puts on a show at the dish, and Logan Webb really grinded out this win today. And Webby did get credit for the win. He's now 12-9 on the season. That ERA sits at 3.46. Webb's had a pretty good year. And don't forget, we still got some money on Logan Webb to win the NL Cy Young. I think it's a long shot, but I'm still got my fingers crossed. Maybe Webby goes out here in his last 2 starts and just absolutely shoves, and maybe recency bias puts him over the top and he wins the NL Cy Young. That's really what's happening in my pipe dream right now. I really hope Logan Webb somehow gets that done. I don't expect him to. I think he's a dark horse, although I do think he'll be in the conversation. I think he'll get some votes just like he did last year. I don't expect him to win, though. But today, Logan Webb did really good on the mound, navigating through a lot of issues out there. And he did it. He pretty much abandoned that changeup today. He pretty much abandoned anything that wasn't a 2-seamer. He was having a really hard time. It was kind of hot and humid down there in San Diego, and he seemed to have a hard time throwing anything that wasn't that bread and butter 2-seamer. He threw 48 of them. The only other pitch that he threw in double digits was the changeup. He threw it 14 times. So that sinker he threw 57% of the time, a changeup 17%, 4-seamer 11%, sweeper 10%, cutter 6%. So he just filled up the strike zone with that sinker. It's really all that he did, and he wasn't getting a ton of swing and misses, but he was getting a lot of called strikes. 14 called strikes, only 3 swings and misses, but that 14 called strikes was a lot, and 13 of those were balls in play. Logan Webb, as I said, got about 8 groundouts today. Got exactly 8 groundouts today. And that's what happens when he's using that sinker, although he can get into trouble when he relies too much on that and doesn't have a good mix of that changeup. We don't want to see this trend continue, because that's when Logan Webb gets roughed up, is when he starts to be one-dimensional as a pitcher and starts to get away from that changeup, which was one of the most valuable pitches in all of baseball. I believe it was the most valuable pitch in all of baseball last season. So you want Webby throwing that one. You really do. The average exit velo off the changeup wasn't particularly high today, so I don't really know why he stopped going to it. He didn't get a lot of swings and misses on it, only 1 swing and miss. But I mean, average exit velo was only 79.7 miles an hour off that changeup. So it wasn't terrible today, but he just didn't seem like he had total control over that one. So Logan Webb doing a good job to navigate it, even though he didn't have his best stuff on the mound. And that's Logan Webb, man. That's who this guy is. He's a bulldog. We say this every time. Webby is one of my favorite dudes to watch pitch in all of baseball. I mean, he's not afraid to pitch to contact, and he knows where his strengths are on his defense, and he's trying to get you to ground that ball to Matt Chapman every single time, man. And it's a masterful way to pitch in an era where everyone's just trying to go up there and strike everybody out and see how hard they can throw. And here's Logan Webb just cruising along with his 91 mile an hour fastball, and it works. It works. And it's so fun to watch, man. I thoroughly enjoy watching good defense and watching Logan Webb and Matt Chapman do their work out there. I mean, 3 ground ball double plays. If Logan Webb doesn't get that double play in that first inning, the Padres score at least bare minimum 1 more run if he doesn't get that double play. And the potential for that inning to become a really bad ballooned up big number that could have, really ruined the rest of the day for Logan. I mean, look at what happened to Blake Snell just a couple days ago. I mean, he goes 30 plus pitches in that first inning and he can't come back out for the second. I mean, Logan Webb has to be tired at this point in the year. He'll never tell you that because he wants to hit that 200 inning mark again. But I mean, very impressive stuff from Logan Webb today to be able to get out of that inning and muster the whatever it was, the ability to get that ground ball double play and then immediately get the third out of the inning afterwards to end that threat and promptly put an end to that Padres run there in that bottom of the first. But Logan Webb doing a really good job navigating runners on base all day long and battling, filling up that strike zone. He threw 56 strikes, 84 total pitches today. A lot of it was that sinker, as we said. 57% of his pitches were that sinker today. He was really doing a lot of work with that pitch, and it leads him to a win. Leads the Giants to a 6-3 win. And everyone can go home happy, man. For a day, we can know that the Giants beat up on the Padres and order is restored for one day. The Padres are back to being underneath the Giants for today. The Giants top the Padres 6-3 down there at Petco Park, which still looks so much fun, man. I just want Oracle to be a fraction as fun as Petco is right now. It can be again. It can be again. The Giants just need to start winning and give us a reason to actually get excited about the orange and black. Maybe we'll have that next year. I think the rookies and hopefully some key free agent signings will make this team better than they are this year. Although that's what we said about this year's team compared to last year's team. And right now, it looks like last year's team is going to finish with a better win-loss record than this year's team. We'll see how it all shakes down in these last couple weeks of the MLB season as we wind towards the end of September. And we all know the Giants aren't playing in October. So with that, that's all the time that we got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in and making us your first listen after Giants games. Appreciate you every dayers always tuning in and getting the Locked On Giants postcast. It wouldn't be a show without you guys. So appreciate you guys all tuning in. And for your second listen, don't forget to check out Ben Kaspick's Daily Show. And on the Locked On Giants podcast, you got to get the Daily Show after you get the postcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.